A light week of updates this week, but hopefully some huge improvements to infrastructure and speed, page load times, etc., all coming up in your weekly breakdown right now. Hey, what's up guys? It's Michael McAllister with your GHL weekly breakdown. I'm breaking down the updates from this past week. There were a lot of updates that were not pertinent to the mortgage industry. And remember this video, what I'm making it for, these videos every single week, is to filter those out so that you don't have to sit inside of the high level Facebook group and wait for all the updates that Sean pushes out and then add them to a spreadsheet and then review whether or not they pertain to you. We're doing all of that stuff for you and then giving you the finished product every single week. So with that being said, let's jump into this week's updates. All right, first up, we have new styling options live for surveys. Now, I went in and I checked and played with some of these. These are great. We have some surveys that we had a lot of custom CSS that we were using that we were able to replace with now some native adjustments that are available in the survey builder that weren't available before. The survey builder is still not anything to write home about unless you have somebody that can create custom CSS, create custom effects for you. It still has a lot of limitations, but making steps in the right direction. Hopefully this means we'll get more customization down the road for forms and surveys. Next up, we've got video backgrounds that are live inside of funnels and sites. So if you're using high level to build your websites, using high level to build funnels, you now have the ability to take a row and make a video background, make the video be a background for that entire row or for a section or for a column, which is a really cool way to style your website. There's a lot of home pages of really creative, high functioning websites that'll have like a clip going on in the background. I know Paige, our director of marketing, is excited about this functionality, and I'm sure we'll have some loan officers that are excited about it as well. All right, next up, the calendar consent checkbox is back live inside of calendars. I'm saying back live because I know that they've had different consent options that they've added and then changed or removed and now added back. And I'm kind of confused by this one, to be honest with you, because it's a consent checkbox that's only accessible through calendars, and they log like the IP address that they consent on, what the consent language was. It's a really cool log, but it's not something that's available with forms and surveys yet. It's only available with calendars from what I can tell. So if you know why that is, or you've seen it live in forms and surveys and I just haven't seen it yet, please comment, let us know. But for right now, it looks like the best option that you have for logging consent as far as like TCPA, like getting opt-in for sending text messages, getting opt-in for emails, like getting consent to receive marketing from you. It looks like the best option to do that is actually through your calendars for right now. So it'll be interesting to see how they develop it for forms and surveys moving forward. But for right now, if you use calendars, go ahead and go in there. It's just a toggle. You can hit that toggle and play with the consent checkbox, play with the language, and yeah, it'll be a good way to log consent for your followers. Next up, we have a new email conversation view live in Labs. I would normally take the time to jump in and show you. However, I think it's pretty bad right now. It's pretty buggy, pretty glitchy. Even as I was going through, like, okay, what, we enabled it in Labs probably 3 or 4 days ago, and I was going in trying to find what it was that I was going to show you. And as I was doing that, there were glitches and bugs happening before my eyes where I couldn't see the emails. That it showed up like a loading conversation, or like when you're texting somebody and you can see that somebody's typing on the other side. There was that animation in place of a lot of the different emails in my conversation view. So I decided to turn it off instead and just tell you about it and tell you I probably wouldn't advise enabling that at this point. I'll let you know. As it rolls out, as they improve those things. We'll turn it back on in a week and check in and let you know. Next up, a really cool feature for those of you guys that have multiple high-level locations, especially those of you guys that do lead generation in what we would call like a pre-app world, a pre-application world. So you'll have multiple accounts based on advertising in, say, different states, 4 or 5 different states, right? Specifically, we have one big client that is going to love this feature, which is the ability to copy contacts from one location to another with a workflow action. Whereas before, you'd have to send a webhook out originally to a Zap and then send it back into the location you wanted to send it into. That advanced a little bit when you got premium workflows and triggers and actions inside of high-level workflows. It advanced a little bit because now you can send webhooks to other high-level accounts and skip Zapier. Well, now we can go one step further and we can actually copy a contact directly from one location into another. This will come in really handy for one of our clients in particular who has probably 10, 12 different high-level locations that they're working leads in, and then they feed all of those. Once they get an application, they feed all of those into a centralized marketing account, like post-application marketing account. So this will be really nice for them, and I'm sure we've got other clients that are going to benefit from this as well. All right, last up, we are promised major infrastructure updates. They said a lot of stuff about server load times and infrastructure this and stuff that I didn't even pay attention to. So I know none of you guys are that interested in it. All I know is that they are promising faster speeds. They're promising 70% less server load, which is supposed to translate to 2 to 3 times as fast of a system. I don't know. Hopefully you've noticed it. If you have, say something. If you haven't, if it's working slower, say something also. We want to hear it. To be honest with you, we don't see a lot of the effects of the slowness of high level. And the reason why is because a lot of what makes high level slow is the dependency on your computer's processor. And that was one of the things that they talked about in this update, is that they've reduced a lot of the load on your computer's processor. So those of you guys that are using laptops that are provided by your company that probably aren't very good, very high performing laptops, you guys probably see server load, or you probably see speeds inside of high level that are a lot worse than what I see on my day-to-day with a MacBook Pro. So that's something to keep in mind. If you do have a computer, a higher level computer that you could test high level inside of and compare to what you're seeing with maybe a company provided laptop or a laptop that's a few years old, that's one thing to test, is to see if maybe upgrading your machine would upgrade your experience as well. I know for us, like I said, I hardly see any speed issues, but then I'll get on a call with somebody and they're like, yeah, high level really needs to do something about the speed. I don't know what they're talking about. So hopefully this update, for those of you guys that don't have machines that are hiding that for you, hopefully this update is going to help you guys out. Like I said, please let us know in the comments. We want to hear what your experience has been. All right, guys, that's it for this week's weekly breakdown. Like I said, not a lot of updates. Hopefully some massive improvements to infrastructure and speed for you guys that are seeing issues with that. Again, to recap, we internally we all have MacBooks internally and don't tend to see a lot of issues unless like on one of our MacBook Airs, we've got a lot of stuff going on the computer. We'll see issues with that. But anyways, like I said, just a quick plug to have you upgrade your machine. It doesn't have to be a Mac, but upgrade your machine to something recent that could improve your experience. But if you don't upgrade your machine and you can give us an idea of what those improvements look like, we'll appreciate it. But with that being said, guys, we have our Zoom room coming up on Tuesday. As always, check it out. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you at the top.